What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Pride of Detroit YouTube channel. I'm Miko, once again joined by my guy, Morgan Cannon. Morgan, we are back. Lions get another win, 5-1 on the year, tied atop the NFL, not just the NFC, but the entire NFL with one of the best records in the league. First and foremost, how you feeling? Like, I know the dust has settled a little bit. We're here on a Wednesday filming this, so I mean, let me know how you're feeling at this point in the week.
It's like sometimes I have to pinch myself a little bit, Like I'm just
Mhm.
kidding. But really it's been crazy because they've done it in a really convincing fashion the last 4 weeks. Um,
Yeah.
and then they've done it in just so many different ways. I know we said that last week too, but they're just winning games in different ways. And I know we're gonna get into it here, man. But yeah, it's interesting to see them being talked about on all the shows, like on ESPN and everything.
I find like I don't know if it's just me, maybe if you felt like this way at times, but like a part of me is getting like a little bitter, like seeing everybody trying to jump on the bandwagon all of a sudden for like national media wise. And it's like don't pump us up now. Like, no, it's there's a part of me that's like kind of like what Taylor Decker said, I think early in the offseason where it was like, yo, like we remember people that were hating on us back then. So like there's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna be trying to say that we're sweet now. And so there's a part of me that's like, yeah, it's cool that we're getting all this this national attention, but then there's another part of me that's like, nah, stay in your corner. like, because we
Right.
know where this is going the first time the Lions have a loss that they probably shouldn't have.
Exactly. I mean, that's probably what's going to end up happening inevitably, and I've already started to prepare for it in my brain because I'm petty. But it's Decker keeps receipts, man. He like when he says that, I believe that man because he keeps receipts.
He ain't the only one. Apparently, Lions social media keeps receipts too. If you guys have
They
not
do.
been like checking out Lions Twitter account,
Yeah.
my lord, they've been keeping receipts. Hopefully, they don't have any of mine because I have some bad takes out there. So
Oh man, I hadn't even thought about that, but
I mean, it
hopefully
is what
I'm.
it is, man. Like, listen, we've I feel like we've earned the right to sometimes kind of pile on a little bit, but we've gone on long enough. We know why you guys are here. You guys are here to sit through this film breakdown with us. We're gonna highlight some of the best plays that came out of this game, with the Lions beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this past Sunday. I think we got a good collection of plays here for you guys. That again, some of these obviously we've seen. Maybe a one or two of these that probably haven't gone into in depth. But let's get it started here with one of the big plays to kind of kick off the game. And this is the turnover that the Lions were able to force off of a tip pass by Isaiah Buggs. So as we can kind of see here, we got Isaiah Buggs circled here in the blue. We got Will Harris over here circled in the gray, and then we have Kirby Joseph back here in his safety spot circled in black. We're going to explain why we have three players circled here, because two of these players, and I'm pretty sure you guys can guess who, get bailed out pretty crucially by one of these other players. So let's go ahead and let this run, and we'll kind of, Morgan, if you wouldn't mind just kind of walking us through what kind of is happening on this play here.
Yeah, the Bucks are running a pretty simple concept. You're going to get Mike Evans on a go, and good job by Isaiah Buggs, man, because you're taught if you can't get to the quarterback, you get your hands up, right, and try to get a hand on the ball. And Will Harris gets so greedy with his eyes, bites on the play fake. Same with Kirby. Kirby really jumps it. But yeah, huge play by Buggs because if this is on target by Mayfield, he's pretty inaccurate most of the day. It might have been a score for Mike Evans.
No, for sure. And like you said, like, right. So I'm going to freeze it right here. This is what you're talking about when you're saying Will Harris gets a little greedy with his eyes, right? Because this is a play action. So they're faking the run, trying to see if they can get the defense, specifically the secondary, to bite on this action. And hopefully, like you were saying, you have Mike Evans down here running this go route. You also have number 83 that's kind of popping out for, what looks like could be a screen. But this is all misdirection to hopefully get Mike Evans open on this go route. And you have two of your cover guys that are probably responsible for Mike Evans biting pretty heavily on this play action with Will Harris here. And if I let this run a little bit, you'll see Kirby also bites up. And right at this moment, Mike Evans is past him. Like, this is blown coverage at this point, right, Morgan?
Yeah, and I know what Will is seeing. Will is thinking it's going to be a run, so he bites a little bit on the play fake. I don't know what Kirby's looking at because there's no other receiver in his vicinity other than 83 down by the line of scrimmage. But with Evans, yeah, he's running right by him, and Mayfield sees it. You can look at Mayfield's vision this whole time. That's who he's reading is Kirby and Will Harris, just seeing what they're going to do, and he's gonna cut this thing loose, man. So huge play by Isaiah Buggs, big swing of momentum.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, Will Harris, while again bites on this action and it kind of does get him out of position, because he does bite on this, it also by results of this puts him in perfect position to get this interception. Because I think if he doesn't do that, this ball probably falls to the turf and it's immediately, the Bucks get another opportunity to try and convert.
Yeah, and kudos to him for making the play on the ball. Like this isn't an easy catch by any means, but yeah, sometimes it's just better to be lucky than good because, like you said, Miko, he wouldn't have been there if he didn't bite on the play fake so hard.
Yeah, for sure. And so like this is one of those plays, like, right, typically we talk about when we do these film breakdowns, we try to highlight the good, we try to highlight the bad. And this is a little bit of a mixed bag, right? You get something good coming out of this play, but there was some sloppy play on the back end where, again, if you're Aaron Glenn, as you're patting Isaiah Buggs on the back, right? Like, hey, great job doing your job, understanding your responsibility. On the flip side of that, you're probably looking at Kirby and Will Harris and saying, hey, you probably owe this dude a couple steaks because he really saved your guys' butts on this one.
Yeah, I'm sure this is something they're going to be talking about in meetings this week because this can't happen against Lamar. Lamar's been really good from the pocket so far this year. Yeah, this can't happen against Baltimore. We got to clean this up.
Yeah, right. And this is just, again, one of those examples of like, hey, great outcome, but hey, let's be making sure that we're locked in on the details, making sure that we're not getting greedy, making sure we understand our responsibilities. And again, look, with the week of practice, Brian Branch is at least getting reacclimated into practice, so there's a possibility that we see him possibly this Sunday in place of Will Harris. But even if not, I don't want this to turn into one of those things of like, oh, Will Harris is making mistakes again, because again, I think he's played well in replacement of Brian Branch these last couple weeks.
Yeah, Will Harris gets a lot of undeserved hate. He, can back up multiple positions. He can play outside corner for you. He can play nickel for you. He can play safety for you. He's a big hitter, man. I think in one of the sights and sounds, I think Jonah Jackson was like, Will hits hard.
Yeah.
I think one of the plays, he picked up that fumble. So, he's a good backup. He's good to have on your roster. There's a reason he's still here in Detroit. But yeah, getting Brian Branch back will be huge for the secondary. Like it's tough to really explain in words how big getting Brian Branch back will be.
It's kind of funny because I feel like earlier in the season we were looking forward to possibly getting Jamo back, for a game like this, and now it's like, no, we actually get Brian Branch back, and then we're just as excited to get him back, this week.
Speaks to how well he's played, right? Just he's made a big impact, and if he's all the way healthy, against again, Baltimore's good. Lamar's a scary player. He's a former MVP for a reason. So, yeah, I can't wait, Miko. Hopefully, we get 32 to suit up in Baltimore.
Well, speaking of scary players, the Lions have a couple of their own, and this is a play that has been obviously talked about a ton. It's the Amon-Ra St. Brown touchdown, catch and run. There's a number of really good things to come out of this play. Some of them have already been talked about quite a bit, but Morgan and I are going to try and at least, give our own, at least 2 cents on this play. So as you guys can see here, the Lions have 3 wide receivers, or at least, 3 wide receivers and a tight end. I think that's Sam Laporta out wide. You have Craig Reynolds in the backfield next to Jared Goff. And this was, I believe, what was it, Morgan, a 3rd and 12?
Yep, 3rd and 12 or 3rd and 13, I believe, actually.
Yeah. So we're going to let this run for the first time. And then we're going to talk about, because I'm sure if you guys haven't heard the quote from Amon-Ra where he said like, hey, he kind of went a little rogue and tried to make something happen. We're going to try to break down exactly what he probably is taught to do versus what he actually ended up doing on this play.
Yep. And essentially what Marvin Jones is running next to Amon-Ra is just a for love of the game route, right? Like he knows he's not really getting the ball, but he's there to clear out space for Saint to run this in. So you'll kind of see it from this view. And then Saint runs the in, and receivers are taught once they catch the ball, they're taught to get upfield. I think Amon-Ra used the word knife is the word Antoine Randall L., the Lions receivers coach, probably uses. So once he catches the ball, we can freeze it. So boom. He's taught to split those two defenders, right? We talked about it, before we recorded, Miko. Maybe he can get to the 15, that would be huge, right? Then it's a 4th and short for the Lions. But I think his quote was he's going to try to make something happen. Good job by Josh Reynolds getting in the way, and then Craig Reynolds, man, just comes out of nowhere and obliterates poor Carlton Davis.
Yeah, the unsung hero of this game, because this is a culture play, right? This is buy-in. This is understanding your role and understanding not to give up on a play just because you're not necessarily involved in it. But I love everything about this play. I love the route. I love the aggressiveness of an Amon-Ra St. Brown. I love the protection of the offensive line, because again, without that, right, Jared Goff doesn't have the time to be able to survey the field. This play isn't rushed by any means. And yeah, this is picture perfect.
Yeah, and good job of Goff understanding what he's seeing pre-snap in terms of the coverage. He knows if he gets Marvin to clear this out a little bit, he's going to throw it to St. Brown, see if he can make something happen, his best player. And man, yeah, like you said, Miko, this is a culture play. This is Craig Reynolds saying, like, okay, let me go ahead up here and see if I can't help my man Saint out. And he definitely did.
No, for sure. And again, like, this was one of those games and one of those plays where things are going kind of slowly for the Lions. They weren't, necessarily marching up and down the field. And so for the Lions to be able to not just put up points, but to put up points on crucial downs like 3rd down and a 3rd and long at that. I mean, a lot of times I feel like typically the Lions are very conservative on these 3rd and 13s, right? We typically see a run play. They maybe try a screen. This was somewhat aggressive. And, by design, I think, like we talked about, if Amon-Ra decides to knife up the field, he probably can still maybe get close to that 1st down, maybe give them a 4th and short opportunity. But again, having that aggressive mindset to be like, no, I think I can get more out of this play.
Yeah, and that speaks to just how he's progressing in his 3rd year, right? Like, he's cemented himself, at least in my opinion, and I know I'm biased, obviously, but he's one of the best receivers in football. Like, I don't think you can take that away from him. Yes, he plays in the slot, but it's a different game nowadays. I don't think we should think about it just from in terms of, does a receiver play outside? That's the only way he can be considered to be like a top 10 receiver, but only that's an all-pro move. Like,
sure.
to have the wherewithal to be like, no, I'm going to go ahead. Let me try to make something happen. I believe that was his direct quote. And he did.
And I think, like, I'm right there with you. Going into the season, I felt like this was like the season where Saint could really like establish himself as like firmly in that top 10, because I think the guys that we routinely think of in the top 10, those guys are cemented. We know, and they've done it over a few years now. The Tyreek Hills, the Justin Jeffersons, the Jamar Chases, even though Chase has kind of had a slow start, but it's definitely starting to come on now. And I think when you look at this season in particular, though, when Amon-Ra's been on the field, he's just as dangerous. He's just as like, reliable as any of those guys to be able to not just catch the ball, but to actually make plays happen, getting 1st downs, getting touchdowns, and things of that nature.
Yeah, on a day when the Lions' run game was basically reduced to nothing, almost. They had to put it in the air, and Goff went to the well over and over. He had 12 catches, 124 yards, and the touchdown. Averaged over a 1st down a catch, if you do that math roughly. So, yeah, man, huge play, huge day for the guy, and it's been impressive to see him grow from that player that we, the catch that he made back in 2021 when, like, in Dan Campbell's first win in the first win of the regime. So he's just been on that track, and yeah, he's elite to me.
I'm right there with you. Another guy I don't know if he's maybe necessarily in the elite category, but he's definitely in the category of very good, especially when we're talking about this year. And it's a guy that even I say, like, I don't feel like I'm talking about him enough, and that's Cam Sutton. And we're going to look at this play here. I think this was another huge play, Morgan, for the Lions, because this is veteran savvy. This is understanding the importance of having solid technique. This is the play where Cam Sutton draws his offensive pass interference against Tampa Bay. As we can see, they're in the red zone. with an opportunity to score. I believe this was second down. Um, and Cam Sutton plays this about as well as any corner can. And I think I've seen way too often where corners have played this route poorly. And when I saw this on tape, I couldn't help but just like, I had to throw this in here because it's nothing that I think most people would catch, but it's really good technique and it's very good understanding of what your role and your responsibility is in a play like this.
Yeah, and it's Cam being just a vet, right? Like those salty shirts they wear around Allen Park, the Lions facility. He's got to have a couple of those, man, because this is as salty as a DB can play this route. So they know he knows what they're trying to do. They have Mike Evans out here on an island. Mike Evans is 6'5", 230. He's a physical receiver. He's been doing this almost 10 years. So he gets a clean outside release, and Sutton has eyes on Baker Mayfield the whole time. He just runs the route for him, and it's just veteran play. Like he's like, all right, let me go ahead and chop my feet too at the top of this route. And Mike Evans just runs right through him. And you can see when Cam gets up, he immediately starts telling the ref OPI.
Yeah. And so I want to pause it right here. So this is what because I want to kind of elaborate a little bit on what I was saying earlier about like a lot of corners play this wrong. So this is close to press. I don't think this is as close to press as you can get in this situation. I think if Cam's any closer, he's probably offsides. Typically what you see corners try to do in these situations, especially in the red zone, is they're trying to get hands on the receiver to be able to disrupt any type of timing. Because if you believe that a fade route is coming, sometimes what you see corners try to do is like, okay, let me disrupt this so that the quarterback has to hold the ball a little bit longer. And now this becomes a much more difficult, catch and throw. But what Cam does in this situation is, like you said, he has eyes on Baker Mayfield here, looking into the backfield. So again, trying to have a good understanding of when this ball is going to be released. And he immediately, instead of trying to get hands, he just gets depth. And by getting depth, he has just as much right to this space before Mike Evans makes contact with him as Mike Evans does. And so he's looking at the ball. He's trying to at least make a play on the ball. Or, again, doesn't even really get an opportunity to make a play on the ball. But that's veteran savviness right there, Morgan. Am I right?
Yeah, you explained that really well, Miko, because this is definitely something they've talked about with cornerbacks coach Dre Bly. This technique, because it's going to be tough to jam Mike Evans here. He has an awesome release package. He's huge. He's a big physical guy. So it's better to just run the route for him. Keep eyes on Baker Mayfield. His first steps, you'll notice he just opens his hips so he can see what's going on while still, remain in a shuffle and stay with Mike Evans. So watch those first steps. Open, and then just runs the route for him. But yeah, the way you explained that was perfect, Nico.
Also, something to also consider too, Cam also covers his bases in the event that this is a slant, right? So he plays this as if it's a fade. If this were a slant, this is where Kirby Joseph comes into play. Or, sorry, I believe this is Tracy Walker.
Yeah,
Tracy Walker comes into play here because if this is a slant, Tracy can come down and cover this slant. And so, like, bases are typically covered because all the linebackers pretty much blitz on this play. But, like, I mean, again, that's like I said at the top, that's understanding your responsibilities. That's understanding what you have to do on this play and just focusing on that. And I feel like that's something that this coaching staff really harps on when it comes to this defense is, hey, don't worry about, what other people are supposed to be doing. Do what you're supposed to do and just have faith that your teammates are going to do the right thing.
Yeah, that's really exactly. You're going to see players like that understand each other. Like Tracy's going to come down, and that's just like, getting reps with like each other, right? So that's him and Cam, like Tracy and Cam having an understanding, like, all right, if he runs this slant, you're going to come down and lower the boom. Also, shout out Tracy Walker for being one of the best legal hitters in football, man. Like it's like almost once every other week. He obliterates someone, and then like they throw the flag, and shout out to the refs. It's getting a little bit better. Well, I should knock on wood because now something stupid is going to happen. But they picked up that flag because I was like, that is legal. It was because I've looked up that stuff in the rule book.
Yeah.
Like, there was he didn't launch himself. There was no forcible contact to the head or neck. So yeah, man, I was like, they better pick this up, man. And they did. So kudos. But yeah, Tracy's been popping people, man.
No, man, I've been really happy for Tracy. I had really high expectations for him last year prior to or before he got the Achilles injury. I thought he was playing good football, not maybe great football, but I thought he was really coming into his own in the role that he had. So, no, that's a really good shout out for right there for Tracy because I think he has been playing good football, especially in the wake of CJ GJ and it not feeling like there's been a drop off, I think, in safety play.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain things that CJ can do a little bit better than Tracy on the back end, but as far as like being a box safety, Tracy will come up and defend the run. You know, he can play like some of that role that Brian Branch plays, like as a big nickel, if you will. But yeah, it's for what he lacks in like some of his like ball skills, because like there's some he just like tipped passes that he won't come down with. You're like, Tracy, but then
Yeah.
he makes up for it with his just he knows how to hit the legal way, and he's been popping people, man. He popped Chris Godwin there.
I literally jumped out of my seat for that play. This is another play that we're about to go into though that I kind of jumped out of my seat out of like at first, and then it just didn't necessarily go the way we thought it would. But I wanted to put it in here because I think it's a really good snapshot of what we can expect from Jamo. Again, not a whole lot in his first game back from his suspension. Got a few more opportunities in this game against Tampa. And I thought this is some really good route running. We talk about his speed all the time. And this play to me rings true of what Antoine Randall L talked about. Not the fact that Jamo has great speed, but that he has great control of that speed and being able to throttle down at any given point and make himself available. I'm gonna just let this run because this was beautiful, and I wish this could have been a completion because I think you and I both kind of agree on this. This probably would have been to the house.
I think so, man. Jamo's that kind of athlete, especially like look at the way he moves on this. So the guy across from him, Carlton Davis, is no slouch, and Jamo snaps this thing off. There's like 6 yards of separation. Sorry, that wasn't Carlton Davis. That was Jamel Dean. Yeah, huge separation. If Goff could step into this throw, like this could have been to the crib.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, let's look at it here at the top because, like, I want to be able to freeze it right when he creates this separation because it's bad. Like, this is if this was basketball, right? Like, this is they're talking like Ernie and Shaq and Chuck are making fun of the defender in this situation because the minute your legs are going the complete opposite direction of your torso, you're in a bad way. Like this is nothing about this is good if you're the defender.
That's a good comparison, Miko. He got crossed. Like Jamo hit him with the Hezi crossover. And yeah, if this is man, I just wish, because Jamo definitely could have came back to the ball more. But
Sure.
in his defense, and Goff has the arm talent to make this throw 10 times out of 10. He just didn't get to step into it. We can talk about that in a sec the next time it goes to that view. But yeah, I'm just happy to see this twitchiness and this athleticism from Jamo again, because this is like, that's some Alabama Jamo. Like go back and watch those highlights if you don't believe me or believe us about this play potentially being a house call, because those are those plays at Alabama that Jamo made that made him a first round pick. He would catch a ball and he would just erase angles from SEC defenders.
Yeah. And so I'd love for you to explain a little bit more when you're talking about Goff not being able to really like drive this ball. Like, yes, could Jamo has still maybe come down with this? Yes, but I think we're talking about that's high degree of difficulty for him. But why this play all of a sudden is an incompletion versus a completion when we start to look at what's happening around Jared Goff here.
Yeah, two members of the pass protection just lose their assignments pretty handedly. Coyote Iwasika loses to Kalijah Cansey right there. And then you have Shaq Barrett just kind of bullying Brock Wright. But, Shaq Barrett is a bad man. So I understand that. I'm not dogging on Brock Wright. But, yeah, it just doesn't allow Goff to step into this throw. And he kind of just has to sling it with his feet, watch his feet as he releases this ball. And that's the reason it ends up being A, off target, and B, it's a duck too. Like if you go back and watch that ball's wobbling the whole way.
No, absolutely. Right. And it's again, like you said, it's the inability to be able to step into that throw. I mean, again, going back to that play, he's kind of leaning back, he's flat footed. Those are things that, again, if you talk to any quarterbacks coach, anybody that's played quarterback, they would tell you, like, hey, that's a recipe for disaster. Unless you're the likes of maybe like a Patrick Mahomes, a Josh Allen, a Matthew Stafford. Again, nothing bad about Jared Goff, but it's just like this is where mechanics can fail you. When mechanics fail you, now all of a sudden the throw isn't exactly as crisp as you would like it to be.
Yeah, and I'm sure if like you ask Goff, like he'd want that throw back, even with those circumstances, because there's probably times where he can hit that, on the off platform, just drop his arm and be able to fit it. And I'm sure Jamo came back and he was like, "Oh man," but yeah, if Goff had hit that, and I'm sure he knows, like that could have been a big gainer because that's one Jamo can catch and just peace out. And I don't know if he's going to hit people with the peace sign. I kind of hope he does, like on some Tyreek Hill stuff. That would be hilarious. I'm a
I would
fan of
love
that
for him to bring the
offensive
crane
play.
back. I would love for him to bring back the crane
Ooh, when he
celebration from
hits like that,
Alabama. Yeah, I
dude.
would love for him to bring
Oh,
it back. He hasn't yet. He scored twice so far in the NFL. He has yet to bring it back. Um,
he
I
does. He
might have to
gets too
like ask
excited.
Jeremy about that. Like Jeremy, the next time you get to talk to JMO, ask him if he's ever going to bring the crane back.
Yeah, man, he does need to hit that.
Um,
That's a good point.
But speaking of which, right? So we see what happens again, the potential of a big play there, and when things don't necessarily go right, it's a big difference between a completion and an incompletion. This next play, which is again another great highlight, another scoring opportunity for the Lions, is an example of what happens when things do go right, when you do have the proper protection, when you do have the right play call, and everyone is basically on the same page here. And again, another play that like just had me jumping out of my seat of just being so happy for Jamo and so happy for this offense to be able to really get the very best out of him in this play.
Yeah, good job by the offense too. They kind of sprint to the line. You see Frank Ragnow, the Lions center. He's going to point out. He's shouting out some protections, and they hurry it up and they kind of catch excuse me, not San Francisco. Although I wish Tampa Bay's Tampa Bay's defense a little bit flat-footed. Conversely, really good job by the Lions offensive line this time. They allow Goff to see what's going on here. But when we get back to this view, so they're gonna get to the line, and the read here for Goff is going to be number 24, Carlton Davis. So right here, Davis has to make a decision. So it's a flood concept. You have a short option in Josh Reynolds. You have a medium, if you will, option in Amon-Ra St. Brown running the corner. And then you have Jamo running the go essentially to the pylon. And Carlton Davis is going to choose St. Brown. So the moment he comes down, I think Goff is, like, okay, I'm cutting this thing loose. And excellent job by Jamo here, man, because this is a tough catch, having to relocate the ball once you turn back around.
No, absolutely, right? I mean, again, he's looking at it so he knows the ball is coming, but then to immediately realize, like, oh, it's not going to be in front of me, it's back shoulder.
Yeah.
And to be able to make that adjustment, I mean, again, it does. It goes back to what you were saying about the offensive line giving Jared Goff such great protection here because Jared's able to really like get to the back of his drop, hit that back foot, survey the field, and then just uncork it. And then it's just like, again, Jamo kind of saves the day by making this great adjustment on this play. I mean, this, like I said, this is like everything kind of lining up perfectly. You have an amazing play call by Ben Johnson. You have amazing protection, amazing, maybe not amazing, but a good throw. The throw got there. That's the most important thing when we're talking about getting these passes to Jamo. They at least need to get there. And then Jamo doing what he's responsible for doing is like, hey, if the ball gets to you, you have to catch it. Whether it's with your hands, with your body, I don't care if you catch it with your toes. Like, come down with the ball, and everything else is forgiven.
Yeah, good job by Goff getting it there because he threw that from the Lions 45. So that was a long throw and it got to the
Yeah.
end zone. So and then excellent job by Jamo, man, because that's a tough catch, and I hope that gives him some confidence just moving forward. Like, okay, man, if I can make that catch, I can make the catches I made at Alabama. That's really going to be it. And Yeah, I hope they get that timing down because Jamo is one of those receivers that you have to, if you're going to make that throw, it has to be early because
Yeah.
he's one of those guys who can track it and run under it because he's got that rare speed.
Yeah, it's almost in a situation. I've had people talk about this in regards to like Tyreek Hill, right? One of my good friends, Scotty, used to say this about Tyreek Hill, where it's just like, you know what? Sometimes you just got to throw it up there and just hope that Tyreek's going to run underneath it. And if he's not going to at least be able to run underneath it, maybe he's fast enough and is able to create enough separation where he still has enough time to come back to the ball and still make a catch. And we've seen that with Tyreek Hill, specifically with Tua, not so much with Patrick Mahomes, but with Tua. There's sometimes those throws are like that. Sometimes they're right on the money, and there's a couple times where maybe Tyreek has to stop, make the catch, and then start again. Um, but I agree with you. I think if him, Jamo, and Goff can get on the same page, we can see more of this. And with Ben Johnson, pulling the strings behind the scenes, I'm more excited about the possibilities of what could happen with this offense.
Exactly. That's something when the Ravens are watching film this week, right? Looking at the Lions offense, that's something they're gonna be like, oh man, okay, so now he's here. Because the Lions offense
Yeah.
has been not fun to deal with for a while, right? Because they have these monsters in the middle with Laporta and St. Brown who can just kill you in between the hashes and in the intermediate stuff. But if Jamo becomes a consistent home run hitter, then
Yeah.
this offense could be really, really tough to deal with, man. Because yeah, good point, Miko. If them two can get rapport, like I just want Jamo to just keep staying, like do more of what Saint does. Like, all right, let me try to copy some things here because Jamo's got that rare speed. I know I just said it, but that's the only way I know how to say it. He's just in the 0.1 percentile.
Absolutely. So, guys, that's going to do it for this video. It's already a little bit over 30 minutes. Appreciate you guys coming and checking out the video. Let us know in the comment section below if there's any other plays or any other insight that you guys have from these plays that we broke down. If you have any questions, let us know that in the comment section as well. If you're looking for more film breakdowns, specifically, Morgan did an article over on Pride of Detroit where he broke down a lot of the plays that Amon-Ra got. Like he mentioned, 12 catches, 124 yards. My guy had a day, right? And Morgan goes through a number of those plays and breaks down exactly how Saint was able to constantly find himself on the receiving end of these passes from Jared Goff and on his way to such a big day. So definitely go over, check that out over on pridedetroit.com, as well as any other articles that we have over on the website. And you guys already know, if you're not subscribed to the channel, get subscribed, hit the notification bell. All of those things help out this channel so much. We're continuing. We want to be able to grow. We want to be able to get our content out to more and more people. So share this video with other people and continue to just like help us grow as a Lions community. But yo, like always, I'm Miko. He's Morgan. Thank you guys for checking us out. And we'll see you guys in the next video.